Hey guys, welcome back to another Shop My Stash update where I share the products that I've pulled out of my stash to use for the past few weeks and tell you how I've been liking them. If you're new here, thanks for joining us. I'm on a no-buy for the year of 2018, which is why I've turned to shopping my stash instead of buying new stuff. So if you like shopping your stash, give this video a thumbs up and let's just get started. I also wanted to mention that we are approaching 50 subscribers on this channel, which may not sound like a lot, but everyone who has millions of subscribers now at one point only had 45 subscribers. So that's okay. I just wanted to thank those of you who have subscribed, and once we reach 100 subscribers, my husband has agreed to make his big beauty video debut, and he will be reviewing beauty products for us when we get to 100. So we're gonna start off with different combinations of foundation that I've been trying out. So I brought out my Natasha Denona Foundation X in the shade Neutral Fair, and it says it's a neutral undertone, but it pulls pretty yellow, so I was mixing that with the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Matte in the shade 101 Classic Ivory, which is more of a pink undertone. So even though I thought that this should make a pretty good color match for me, it always seemed to be a little bit off. And in addition to that, I don't think that this was a great combination as far as formula goes either. The Natasha Denona is kind of a moussey texture, and this one is more of a just traditional liquid foundation. Luna's here, so if you hear purring, it's not me. So I found that when I applied this foundation to my face initially, it always looks kind of weird. It had a strange texture to it, and then putting powder on top of it made it even worse. But then I found that as it wore throughout the day and my oils started to come through, it actually looked smoother. So I don't know that I would continue to mix these two together, but it was an interesting experiment. I also tried mixing the Natasha Denona foundation with my Becca Evermatte foundation. This is in the shade Porcelain, which is the more pink toned of the two that I have. And when I mixed these two together, I had to throw in a little bit of my NYX white mixer because the combination here was too dark. But I liked this combination better than I liked the Natasha Denona with the L'Oreal foundation. I found that it didn't have that same kind of weird texture. I've also been playing around with my Pure Bare It All foundation in the shade Porcelain. Color-wise, this is a little bit dark and a little bit too pink for me. So I mixed that with the Sonia Kashuk foundation in the shade Bisque, because this one is too dark and too yellow. I find that when I mix these two together, I definitely had to add in a little bit of the white mixer because this came out too dark, but the undertone came out really good here. So these three together actually makes a really nice color match. The thing that I have traditionally not enjoyed about this foundation is that it doesn't really control oil, but I think for that same reason, I've been enjoying how this applies because you really have a ton of time to blend it out. It doesn't dry down very fast. And even though, like I said, it's not doing a great job of controlling oil throughout the day, it doesn't really break down too badly either, and I find that my skin does stay looking nice and smooth. So this is actually the combination that I am wearing on my face today, and it's been on for about 6.5 hours so far, and I'm definitely looking on the dewy side but not overly oily, so I've been kind of surprised by how much I've been enjoying this foundation. I'm not sure if I could get away with that in the summertime when I'm extremely oily, but in the wintertime when I'm just really oily, then I can get away with it. For my other face products, I was using the Becca Apres Ski Glow Palette. This was limited edition for the holidays 2017, and even though you can't get it anymore, I still own it and I still paid for it and I'm still gonna use it. This is what that looks like on the inside. This blush is really pretty over here. I like all three of the highlighters that are in here, especially this Rose Quartz one is my favorite. Blushed Copper over here is the only shade that I really don't use ever because it is extremely shimmery, and that kind of shade doesn't really work very well on me as a blush. But if you have a really deep skin tone, I think that would be a beautiful highlighter. I also do enjoy the bronzer that's in here. It's a little bit warm, but it works nicely as just a light dusting of color around the hairline and things like that. So I really did enjoy this. Even though the Becca Shimmering Skin Perfector Pressed is not my favorite highlighter formula, my only issue with them is that they just don't last as long strong as some of my other highlighters, but they really are beautiful, so I did enjoy this. And then this past week I went back to an old favorite, which is this Tarte Don't Be Afraid to Dazzle highlighter and contour duo. So that's what this one looks like on the inside. So this bronzer is one of my favorite bronzers that I have because it's like a nice cool neutral undertone. It is very pigmented, so you want to go in with a light hand and build it up slowly, but it's really soft, it blends well, and I really like this as both a contour and a bronzer shade. And then this highlighter is a nice champagne-y kind of color, and it is buildable, so you can make it really intense or you can go lighter on it and make it more natural, but it's a really pretty one as well. This was actually the bronzer that got me into contouring. I had to put this down and use some other things for a while. I pulled it back out again and I still really like it. For my eyeshadow 2 weeks ago, I was using both the Urban Decay Ultimate Naked Basics palette as well as the ColourPop She palette. The Urban Decay one is an all matte palette except for this shade over here, which has just the smallest amount of sheen to it. It's more like a satin finish, but the rest of them are matte. And then the ColourPop has 4 mattes, but has mostly shimmer shades. So this row are the mattes, and then these 2 rows are all shimmer. And so that's why I had paired those 2 palettes together. So this is a nice palette for laying down a good matte base to your eyeshadow look, but I have kind of a lot of all matte palettes, so I'm still not sure if I need this in my collection, but it is a nice compact. I like that it has a large mirror. I've taken this traveling with me before as well. And then as far as the ColourPop palette goes, all of the matte shades are really nice, and a lot of the shimmery shades are nice, but there are a couple that are kind of duds in here for me. This shade, which I think is called Gal, it's kind of sheer in the pigmentation, and there are some pieces of glitter in it, which I'm not a big fan of. But this pink shade, Mademoiselle, as well as this purple over here called Empress, are absolutely beautiful, very soft and easy to work with. All of the shades on this row are all pretty light, but I do like this second shade over called Dainty. So both of these were in my chopping block pile for makeup that I'm considering decluttering. I think that I would like to hold on to the ColourPop one. This one I'd say is still on the chopping block just because, again, I just have a lot of all matte palettes that are kind of achieving the same purpose as this one. And then this past week I was using my Kat Von D Saint and Sinner palette, and again, I'm sorry that this was limited edition. It came out for holidays of 2017, but again, I spent money on it and I need to use it. So this is what it looks like on the inside. This packaging is beautiful and the colors are really beautiful, but my problem that I have had with this in the past, the reason that I hadn't really reached for it, was because of the layout. I find this very intimidating to look at because there's a lot of color going on everywhere, and it's not set up in a way that kind of pairs colors together. And I know that people have depotted theirs and arranged the colors differently, but there's no way I would do that because I don't trust my skills, and also this is beautiful and I don't want to ruin that. But I knew if I just forced myself to use it that I would get the hang of it. I think that I have done that, and I'm feeling a lot better about owning this palette right now. This has a lot of different finishes in it. There are mattes, there are satins, there are metallics, there are glitter infused shades. This taupey shade Ashes, this brown Revelation, and Exodus over here. Those are all matte bases but with some glitter thrown in. I don't like it when brands do this, but if you tap off your brush enough, the glitter flies out and you're left with just the matte base, which is what I prefer. And then these two at the top, Absolution and Rapture, are both more like glitter toppers. I don't find myself really reaching for those all that often. I would prefer it just to be in the shadow that I apply. But again, that's just my personal preference. And then Cathedral and Heaven are both metallic shades, but they do have some glitter fallout. But if you use a glitter glue, then that works just fine. So like I said, there's a lot going on here, but if you kind of force yourself to work with it and don't let yourself be intimidated by it, then it is a really nice palette. So I have been enjoying that as well. So those are all the products I've been using to shop my stash the past 2 weeks. So I will make another update video in another 2 weeks. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.